All right, Gifted Taster here, and welcome to the first episode of Tasteline. So as you can tell, today is going to be a tier list. It's going to be a Balenciaga footwear tier list for Demna era. We're talking fall winter 16 to spring summer 22. I'm going to be focusing mainly on menswear footwear. I'm not really familiar with women's footwear, and there are just way too many for me to know anyway. I'm also not going to cover like slides or any of those weird shoes like that. There's just too much. I could just go down like infinite rabbit holes, so I'm just sticking to these. The list probably isn't fully comprehensive, but I'm just covering most of the big, major, notable shoes. I'm sure I missed something. I checked the list twice, but I'm sure something slipped through, but whatever, I don't really care. So just the shoes that you see here. This is going to be Demna era, so obviously I'm fully aware that just because he is the head of Balenciaga, it doesn't mean that he designs, each individual of these shoes. That's why I put era of Demna rather than, by Demna or something. And I'm also not going to be covering Vibram. There's just too much. This is already a ton. So I'm not going to be covering all the small changes and like variation, colorway, iterations, models, whatever. I'm probably going to talk about it when I talk about the shoe, but it's just too much to do like every single iteration or variation or colorway or whatever. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Just for some semblance of structure, I'm going to go through the shoes in chronological order. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. So starting with fall winter 16, we have the Speed Trainer. That's right, the Speed Trainer. Where do I want to put this? Let's put this in the C tier for now. So interestingly enough, this was never a runway shoe, at least not initially. So it originally debuted in fall winter 16, and then it was eventually only shown on the runway in spring summer 18, but even then it was just on kids. So it was never actually released on like adults. Like you can see right here, the girl's wearing here you got the kid wearing, all three kids are wearing them actually, but it was never like shown on adults, which I found very interesting. So what do I think about the shoe? I definitely think it's iconic, don't get me wrong. It's probably a great moneymaker for Balenciaga considering how many variations, iterations, colorways it's still being sold and produced to this day. That's what, 6 years later? That's a pretty long time. So clearly it does well for Balenciaga. Now the problem for me is when I think about the Speed Trainer, this is the outfit I think of. Now, this was an era, don't get me wrong, and if you like this, that's all up to you. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't. And so when I think of the Speed Trainer, this is the era, this is the outfit that I think of. I have never once wanted to own the Speed Trainer, never once wanted to wear the Speed Trainer, because I just think of these outfits, and it's hard for me to look at this and be like, oh, that's so fire, especially now, now that this trend is kind of over. And we've moved on, at least hopefully we've moved on. I'm sure there's some people still dressing like this, but this is what I think of. So I just naturally have like kind of a negative connotation to the shoe. The shoe itself, was pretty legendary. As soon as they dropped this sock type of shoe, a lot of brands copied them right after. So it was clearly like they knew what they were doing. But in terms of me personally, I just don't like it. I also have really small feet. So when I wear shoes that are like close to my feet, it just makes my feet look extra small. Just not for me, but it's not like it's not a bad shoe, it's just not for me, and I have a lot of negative connotations. So I'm just going to put it in the C for now. All right, and that's the only shoe I'm going to talk about for fall winter 16. So moving on, spring summer 17, Demna's menswear debut. So for those of you that don't know, Demna's first season with Balenciaga was actually fall winter 16, but it was only women's wear, and it wasn't until spring summer 17 that he actually debuted menswear, and he only debuted one footwear silhouette, which was these heels. Now, I have a lot of nostalgia to this season, to this era. It's one of my favorite shows, and you can kind of get where I'm going with this. I think this shoe is amazing. I am going to put it in the A tier for now. Everything that I put for now is just temporary. It's just tentative for now. I'm going to see, as I add more, I can shuffle things around, but I'm just going to put it in the A tier for now. It was released in a ton of different, heights and colorways. I just love this season. I love this. I love these looks. Like all of these looks are just nice. You know what I'm talking about? Like here are the heels there. They had like a python version. They had the black version. Like, yeah, look at this all black leather look. You just look like a god. Like they had this silver version, kind of trash, not gonna lie. Python version. Now, what's stopping this from being an S tier then? For me, it's the shape. which is weird because I just told you how much I love the shape, but it's just a little too tall. Like, this is kind of ridiculous, at least for me. You know, if you are a Chad and you're able to wear something like this, no problem. By all means do it. You probably look like a god. For me, it's just a little too much. They actually have a similar version of these, a pair of Dries Van Noten boots for men that kind of look almost the same. Yeah, these ones right here, they look like almost the same, to be honest. And like, if you're looking for an alternative for the Balenciaga Spring Summer 17 heels, that if you can't find them, you can get these. Again, though, this heel is just kind of ridiculous. Like, I don't mind a heel. I could probably do like an inch, 2 inches maybe, but like this much of a heel is just, it's just too much. You know what I mean? Like, it's just too much. Like, I love the shoe. I love the silhouette. If I was a Chad, I would absolutely wear them. But the problem is I just don't have the confidence in me to just wear these, no problem. If I owned these shoes and I wore them all the time, they would definitely be an S tier. I think these shoes are amazing. The silhouette is just so good. It's just a little too much for me. That's all. That's why it's going in the A tier for me. Now moving on to Fall Winter 17. Oh yeah, I think we all know what's coming. The Triple S. That's right. Where am I putting this? Straight to the S tier. If I could, straight to the Triple S tier. All right, this is like the peak of the dad shoe era. Maybe not the peak, but definitely like well within the trend. You know, the trend is rising. Everyone's riding the wave. You know, popular shoes at this time, obviously like the Yeezy Wave Runner. People were wearing Skechers because of Ian Connor. You know, people were even wearing Nike Monarchs. That's right. Don't think I forgot the Nike Monarchs. This is the dad shoe era. And here comes the debut of the Triple S, you know, kind of chunkier than all the dad shoes that I just mentioned. Obviously famous for that 3 sole. That's why they call it the Triple S. Now, there was some controversy with this shoe. I remember when it first dropped, it was made in Italy and it was extremely hard to get. You know, pairs were extremely limited. They sold out everywhere. They were reselling for like double retail, like every colorway, every size, and it was just impossible to get your hands on it. And then they switched it to made in China. Why they did this, I don't know. It's likely to keep up with demand. I don't know necessarily. Just because something's made in China doesn't mean the quality's worse. You know, if you have the top tier made in China and the top tier made in Italy, I'm sure they're quite similar. But due to that, a lot of people, they kind of went away from the Triple S. And the original Triple S was super heavy, the made in Italy pair, and then the made in China pair was a lot lighter. So I think people naturally just kind of thought, oh, it has like lower quality maybe or something like that. I don't know if that's true or not. Obviously, you know, that's just speculation. That's what people were saying, and it had a lot of negative connotation. What do I think about this shoe? I think this is one of the best shoes Balenciaga has ever made. Certainly the best sneaker Balenciaga has ever made. Certainly one of the best sneakers, period. I don't know if it's just me being nostalgic to this era, that timeline, but it's just so good. And I would put it in the S tier for like 100%. There's no question. My favorite colorway is a colorway that was actually in the time that it was made in Italy. I don't know if a lot of people even know that this colorway existed. It is the Balenciaga Dsm Collab. I don't even know if a lot of people know that this collab happened. They also did a collab with Essence that had this like Smurf colorway. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely horrendous. I'm sorry. Like, what is this? What is this? Jesus, this should tell you all that you have to know about this shoe. But yeah, I mean, this colorway, in my opinion, is the best. It's so rare. Probably every single pair on the market now is just a fake, but like, it just looks so good. It's kind of unique. They have a similar colorway that they released, as well as I think they released a similar colorway in like one of the split ones, which are just horrendous. There are some really bad ones. Just because I like the Triple S, it doesn't mean I like all the colorways or anything. If I could, this would be in the F tier, like a triple F tier. Some of this stuff is just so bad. Like I'm like, oh my God, that is just terrible. I can't imagine someone designed this shoe and they were like, yeah, that's good. Yeah, let's release this. Fire. And this is from the Balenciaga Gucci collab, which I still can't even believe that collab is real. And I think now they have a collab with Adidas. I don't know if this is real or not. This also looks absolutely horrendous. I'm sorry. This just looks like a joke. This looks like something you buy, those Chinese fakes that like they're not even trying to be real, but now they're real, so it's come full circle. Yeah, I mean, obviously my placement for this would vary heavily on the colorway, but in terms of just the original colorways, all the original colorways that released were good, except for that neon yellow one. That one was absolute trash. I mean, this is going to be the S tier. This is a legendary shoe. Probably the best sneaker that Balenciaga has ever made, maybe will ever make, and certainly one of the best sneakers of all time, in my opinion. So moving on to another shoe released in Fall Winter 17. the Moto boot. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna put this in the D tier. That might make some people upset, but I've never been a whole fan of the the biker aesthetic. Skinny leather jacket, skin tight leather pants, these boots. Riding a motorcycle, whatever. That's not me. That's never been me. I don't really see that being me in the future. There are some interesting colorways. Don't get me wrong, like this red one. Kind of iconic. It was seen on the runway here. It just looks too chunky. Like it looks actually like a motorcycle boot, not like a fashiony take on it. But this looks actually chunky. The straps, it just looks extremely cumbersome to wear. There's too much going on, and as a result, I'm just going to put it in the D tier. Don't really want to talk about it, to be honest. I'm not a fan of those shoes. Yeah, let's move on. Spring Summer 18. Not a great season in terms of footwear for Balenciaga. Let's talk about the first shoe, the Monk Strap Evening Derby. I'm willing to bet a lot of people don't even know what this is. I'm going to put this C tier. I think it's better than the Speed Trainer. This is a shoe that they released. It has a couple of different versions, these Croc versions, and then it says Balenciaga kind of on it. It's certainly not a bad shoe. Like it's decent. It's a very plain silhouette. You can't hate it. Like anything basic, like how can you call this like bad? Like it's certainly not bad. Is it good? Is it amazing? No. But there are certainly worse shoes out there. I normally don't like such loud, I guess, branding, but this is somewhat tastefully done. It's just nice on the strap, kind of on the side there. It looks sleek. The Croc, I like the Croc details, so it's not a bad shoe. Not a good shoe. Don't really want to talk about it that much, so let's go ahead and move on. The other shoe released in Spring Summer 18, the Balenciaga Match Tennis Sneaker. Another shoe that probably went under the radar for a lot of people, myself included, and for good reason. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of C tier. This is a sneaker that doesn't do anything. And what do I mean by that? It's what does this accomplish? What is the point of releasing this? Now, when I think about this, what I'm looking at is, are there other brands that do this? Yes, literally every brand in the world. So unless you think that this is somehow the best sneaker in this category, which for pretty much, I guarantee you no one that this is, it's bad. And the problem is you can't hate on it either, because again, it's just like a very plain silhouette. Like it's literally just a sneaker. How can you be like, oh, this is horrendous? And I'll admit, I can't be like, it's horrendous. But would I ever buy it? No. Would I ever wear it? No. It's just a sneaker. Like it doesn't matter. I don't know who was buying this. I don't know why they released this. It doesn't do anything for anyone, I would imagine. So I kind of want to put it D tier, to be honest. The only thing that's saving it in C tier is that the silhouette is so plain that I feel like I can't hate on it. It's just so mundane. I would never look at it twice. All right, moving on to Fall Winter 18. Oh yeah, we got another infamous shoe from Balenciaga, the track sneaker. Now, when it comes to the track sneaker, they released quite a bunch of different variations. It's another shoe that they're still producing and selling to this day. They've got the highs, they've got the lows, they've got the mules, they've got the sandals, they've got fur, they've got tons of different colorways. This was an interesting time for Balenciaga, because I remember specifically during this era, after the Triple S was released, everyone was thinking like, what's next? What is Balenciaga going to do next? Like they had so much hype building for them, and everyone was like, are they going to deliver to the hype? And I'm going to be 100% honest. I actually think they did. But everyone's waiting. What is it going to be? What is it going to be? And then they dropped this sneaker. And at the time, it was very, very hype. Was it Triple S reselling for double retail hype? No. But it was also probably more widely produced. They had different colorways. I thought it was a great shoe at the time. I still think some of the colorways are good, like the all black colorway. It's a nice looking shoe. If we're going based on the original model, I think it looks good. Obviously, like a lot of the other successful models, they've kind of diluted it and made it trash with all the different variations and colorways over the years. But the original release was quite good, and there was a big, hiking aesthetic, gorp core. It was still big and chunky, which kind of defined Balenciaga at the time, with kind of these super exaggerated silhouettes, and certainly still does under Demna at least. Like I mentioned, I really like that triple black colorway. Some of the colorways not so good, but that black one is very good. I actually owned this at one point. I probably only wore it like once or twice before I sold it, so maybe I'm speaking too highly of them, but I do think that at the time they actually did match up to the hype that everyone was waiting for, the second coming of the Triple S. So I'm going to put this at I'm going to put this at A tier. It's worse than the heel, especially in terms of longevity. I would not say that, this shoe has stood the test of time nearly as well as the Triple S, but for its time, it matched a very difficult to match hype. I would imagine that most shoes that they would have released, people would have been extremely disappointed. Balenciaga's washed, this, that, but they've managed to hold on to the hype. And it's definitely a theme that they've kind of continued to this day, kind of having super high expectations and then actually delivering to those expectations. All right, Spring Summer 19, we have the LED Derby. This shoe, I'm going to put this shoe here. Now, what do I think about this shoe? It kind of suffers the same thing from the Monk evening strap shoe. First of all, I have never ever seen anyone wear any of the LED stuff. I know that they made the LED tracks. They made these. In my opinion, these are just gimmicks. It's just a gimmick. Like, it's just sell this product to, people who just want that one gimmick picture and then, it's over. They released it in like a non-LED versions too. Just overall, like, the shoe is not bad. Again, this is just a very plain silhouette. Like, you can't hate on the shoe. It looks fine. But why would I want this Balenciaga here? I would rather just have this black shoe, just black. No white, certainly not this LED. I just want a normal shoe. None of this white stuff. This just looks kind of cringe in my opinion. Like, oh, look at me. This is Balenciaga. Balenciaga. Can you read this? Balenciaga. Let's go, guys. Because the shoe is just like, okay, well, I mean, there's nothing special. If you got a Balenciaga shoe that actually had like a unique silhouette, it looked different, then you're like, okay, that's cool. But this is just a literal normal derby, the most normal looking shoe of all time, and then they slap Balenciaga on it. I would rather have this without the Balenciaga, but because it's so normal, I can't hate. So it's going to go in the C tier. I like this shoe better because, it has a strap. The logo the branding is at least a bit more interesting. It's got that, it's 3D. It's not just on the shoe. It's in more of an interesting place on the strap. It's Croc. This is just boring. And the LED is just a gimmick. This is not a shoe that I would want unless it didn't have the Balenciaga on it. So yeah, this is going in the C tier. And the other shoe that got released, the Santiago Boot. This baby right here. Now, I have never been a Western guy. I've never worn Western looking stuff. I've never been a Western aesthetic kind of guy. When I see this shoe, I think of someone from Texas, a concealed, carrying, God-fearing, American-loving cowboy, wearing a cowboy hat, on his horse, a long hard day at the ranch drinking a cold one with the boys. And do I see myself wearing this ever? No. It's not some of the angles, they look okay. The metal, there's some interesting details for sure. They have a low version even right here, which in my opinion looks better than the highs, but would I get either? No. This kind of just gives me a Saint Laurent vibe, but with a little extra flash. Again, if you like this look, oops, wrong shoe. If you like this look, then I think it's a great shoe, but could I ever see myself ever wearing this, even ironically? No. And in that regard, I'm putting it in the D tier. Is it better than the Moto Boot? No, it's worse than the Moto Boot. This could honestly almost be F tier, but I want to save the F tier for super egregious stuff, so we'll put it in the bottom of D tier for now. All right, we're making some progress here. Moving along to Fall Winter 19. There's one shoe. It's called the BB Derby. Again, another shoe that is just plain, and then they threw a little logo on it. And they were like, look at this. What is this doing? Who is looking at this and thinking, oh my God, what a shoe? Especially this Derby version. It did come in like a higher boot version, as well as some interesting like geometric shapes. You can see here, like a nice little geometric shape. The boot is kind of interesting. It came in like a heel. At least the boot is doing something. At least it's not just a plain whatever. It came in this tall boot version too, which is kind of interesting. But again, it's just like, why would I want this BB on there? The shoe is fine. I can't complain. It's such a normal silhouette. It's probably the exact same silhouette as the ones we saw before, or like a 1% difference. Okay, I want to know who at Balenciaga designed this. They made the base shoe and they were like, no, that's not good enough. what, I've got to make something special. I've got to make something Balenciaga. Let's throw on these 2 silver Bs at the front of the toe. You can't even hide this. If you're wearing baggy pants, it's going down to here max. This is going in the D tier. Now, this might actually be an F tier shoe. I might move this along with this later, depending on how well the other shoes do or how poorly the other shoes do. It's a bad shoe. It's even worse than this, even though they're like literally the same shoe and it's just a plain, shoe silhouette. Like I can't hate, like I've been saying, there's no way you can just hate on the silhouette, but I actually can hate on this because of the silver BB. It's 3D. It points out. You can't even hide it. You can't even pretend like, oh yeah, like it's a subtle, it's a subtle branding. No. This is just horrendous in every way. So, all right, moving on to spring summer 20. We had a couple of footwears release. Starting off with the Tyrex sneaker. When this first dropped, this was a really ugly shoe. But over time, I have grown to not like it, but tolerate it. It's been growing on me, let's just say that. Certainly not enough for me to ever purchase or wear the shoe. This is not, it's weirdly, because I think that the shoe, I don't know how it does it, but I do think that it's standing the test of time, which again is weird because I don't think that this is trendy in any way or follows any trend or predicted any trend. Certainly not. The silhouette is different and interesting, which I think, kind of gives it maybe some edge. I'm not sure. It's not a bad shoe. Like I actually think that this shoe is doing well over time. I don't think that I would ever buy it or wear it, but in terms of how this shoe looks now, I certainly like it more than when I first saw it. And I think that it's different. At least this is doing something. At least they're trying. At least it's, it's not just some boring thing. And then they're like, oh, let's just slap Balenciaga on the side of the toe. That'll do it. There we go. I am a genius designer. No, at least they tried. And again, I actually think that this shoe over time is growing on me and I'm not hating it more and more. And for that reason, I'm going to put it in the C tier. At the top of the C tier. Another shoe that Balenciaga released in the spring summer 20 season is the Zen Sneaker. Now, I don't think a lot of people even remember this sneaker. I certainly hope no one is like super obsessed with this sneaker. This lady's face says it all. What the fuck is this? Now, if I look at this sneaker, first of all, what? Like, it looks so bad. I don't even think they marketed this. Again, they're probably like embarrassed. They're probably like, dude, what is this? Let's just throw it out there and forget about it. I get what they're going for. It's kind of got that indoor soccer, yogi, I do parkour aesthetic. But even in that aesthetic, I don't think that they accomplished it very well. It's done nothing. And I think you guys all see where I'm going with this. The F tier. This is going to be the first F tier. Congratulations to the Zen Sneaker and whoever designed this. It is horrendous, and there is no salvation for the sneaker whatsoever. We got 2 more shoes to talk about. The Balenciaga Strike Boot. This bad boy right here. Now, this is a boot that I really like. I think that this is a very good shoe. As you can see, it's very chunky. It's kind of got that Timberland chunky vibe. It looks good. It came in like a Derby version as well, I think. Yeah. Oh, wait. No, this is the Croc Boot. Came in some horrendous colorways like this. Like, what is this? It's sitting on the site. Good. I hope no one buys that. I hope they have to burn this, to be honest. I hope it never reaches daylight. And they have some interesting stuff like this worn out one. This worn out one looks, this at least looks okay, looks pretty decent. Like, I don't hate this. The Strike Boot, why I think it's good is because it's kind of chunky. It's not doing too much, but it still looks good. Like, okay, here it looks kind of bad. Here, like, yeah, would I ever buy this? Probably not. Would I ever wear this if I owned it? Yeah, I think I would. It's got a nice little aesthetic to it. The thing is, I just don't really like the whole combat boot aesthetic. So for me, in that regard, it's not that great. But if you just like a lace-up boot that's kind of chunky, it's not doing too much. It's not, it doesn't say Balenciaga on the side here. It just says it nice, kind of tonally. It's a lot more subdued, and I think I like that more. It just kind of lets the silhouette do the talking. It also released in this Derby version, which I think is actually quite good. The Derby version, in my opinion, is quite a bit better than the boot version. Look at this. This is a good looking shoe. Like, I I would wear this. This is a very nice looking derby. It's got these nice little panels on the front, you know, a nice little lug sole. It looks good, you know, I can't hate on this. I'm going to go ahead and put the strike stuff in the A tier. Does that seem high? Maybe it's a little high. I don't know. I might move that later. Do I think it's better than the track? I think the derby is better than the track, but the boot is a lot lower. I'm going to put it below the track sneaker for that reason. If this was the derby, it would probably be above the track sneaker. Granted, the track sneaker has so many absolutely horrendous colorways and models, but overall, I still think it kind of has the edge, at least in terms of me and, you know, my personal biases and opinions. So moving on, we have one last boot or shoe, I guess, that was released in spring summer 20, the Tractor boot. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this. It's pretty much the same as the Strike, except a little bit less chunky. Instead of that like front toe paneling that the Strike has this little, I don't know, toe stitching, and then it says Balenciaga there. You know, kind of the same shoe, a little bit different. In my opinion, this is just a little bit worse. This one also released in a derby. It's a bit more, I don't know, it's not that it's bad. The derby version looks nice. Like for both of them, I really like the derby version. But this is a nice looking shoe, you know, gives you that chunky derby vibe, very popular now. It's a little worse than the Tractor for me, the Strike for me. So I'm going to put this in the B tier. And let's go ahead and move on. All right, moving on to fall winter 20, the Black collection. This is where I think Demna really started to experiment, Balenciaga really started to experiment with their footwear. Starting off, the first shoe we're going to talk about, the Vibram Collection. Now, this was very interesting because I remember at the time it kind of got a lot of traction, as a lot of Balenciaga footwear does, and this is where I think their marketing kind of shines. I think that Balenciaga knows how ridiculous some of their stuff is, or certainly they market it to be ridiculous. For example, they'll take like a Vibram shoe. You know, this probably retailed for something extremely high. Like look at some of this stuff, like $1,600 for this. What is that? And I think they know that. They know that it's going to create like news and people are going to talk about it. Oh, look at this weird 5-toed shoe that they're selling for $1,600. Like it'll never sell. And then it sells out. And then it gets Balenciaga in the news. It gets people talking about Balenciaga. And do I like the Vibram sneaker? I do. I'm not going to lie. And this isn't just a Balenciaga thing. This is kind of a overall, you know, they've had tons of different collabs with high-end brands. I think there's a Takahiro Miyashita, the soloist, collab with Vibram. I like the Vibram look. I like the 5-toed look. It's very different, but it like looks good. I think this is kind of one of those scenarios where there's like a very fine line, right? Like you can push something very weird and have it still look good. Like let's say this is a line. I'm pushing it all the way, still looks good. Once I cross over that line because I wanted it to get even weirder, it's going to look bad. And this is like one of those shoes where I'm like, this is towing the line, but it's still on the inside of looking good. If this got like even slightly weirder, I probably wouldn't like it. But this is just close enough where I'm like, oh yeah, that still looks good. And it looks different. It looks unique. For this shoe, for me, I'm not gonna lie, I can't really see myself wearing it. I know I just talked so much good about it, but in terms of like actual wearability, I don't know if it's for me. You know, you have to kind of be a certain someone to wear a shoe like the 5-toed shoes. But in terms of looks, I've always thought it's good, you know, Balenciaga or not, and I think it's a good looking shoe. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the B tier. I'm gonna put it below the Tractor. But it's certainly better than all these shoes. But again, just due to the wearability, I'm just going to put it a little bit lower for me personally. So yeah. All right. Moving on to another shoe they released in fall winter 20, the Excavator rain boot. Now, remember what I just talked about kind of towing that line of weird and still looking good? This is on the other side of that line. When I look at this shoe, I feel like, look at this toe, look at this heel. Look at this wide shaft. Now I get it. You know, there's a lot of rain boots that have been popular. The Bottega Veneta puddle boot. You know, now we have the Balenciaga Crocs. There are plenty of rain boot type shoes that I think look quite good. I do like the look of the Bottega puddle. I do like the look of the Balenciaga Crocs. This though, it's worse and it fills the same category. It's like if I look for a rain boot, I'm not going to buy 5 different rain boots that have slightly different variations. I'm probably just going to buy one. It's not like a sneaker where, oh yeah, this is everyday wear, you know, have a couple sneakers in my rotation. Nobody is going out and being like, yo, I have a couple of rain boots in my rotation. There's no way. even if you live somewhere rainy, I can't, even if you did, I can't see this being one of the shoes for it. What's crazier is they actually re-released this, I think, in fall winter 22. So they weren't done with it. What I'm hoping happened is that they had so much leftover stock that they couldn't sell that they had to re-release it in order to try and sell more stock, because I certainly hope nobody is buying this. I look at this shoe and I'm like, this must be like an IQ test. Like, they released this as a social experiment. If you buy this shoe, you failed. That's all I'm going to say. You failed. It is, I have nothing positive to say about that shoe. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the F tier. Do I think it's worse than the Zen Sneaker? No, I don't. So I'm going to put it at the top of F tier. Congratulations. You're the best of the absolute worst. Good job. This shoe is terrible. Moving on to another shoe they released in fall winter 20, the Tyrex Biker Boot. Now, this kind of goes back into what I was saying earlier about the Moto boot. I'm not a huge fan of the biker aesthetic, but what I will say about this shoe is that I do like it more than the Moto boot. The Moto boot, the main problem I had with it is it was so clunky. There was so much going on. It looked like an actual like motorcycle, heavy duty, uncomfortable boot I would never wear if I owned. This looks it looks different. It still has that biker aesthetic, but this gives me more of a futuristic, I shoot my gun and out come lasers vibes. We just fought a war in space. That's what this gives me. It gives me a sleeker, futuristic vibe. I think it's a good looking shoe for what it's trying to accomplish in that niche. Is that my niche? Is that my aesthetic? Is that a shoe I would wear? No, to all of the above. But I like it more than the Moto boot. I still feel like you have to be a certain type of person. The whole, like this looks horrendous. You have to wear like the whole look, like the skinny leather pants, skin tight leather jacket. You have to have that nice look, that nice build, that nice body. This is not, this fit looks horrendous. Whoever styled this to sell this product did it a disservice. Again, I think it's better than the Moto boot. Do I think it's a C tier shoe? I do. I do think there's a big enough difference between the Moto boot and the Tyrex Biker Boot. I'm going to put at the bottom, well, I'm going to put above this sneaker. This sneaker is not doing it for me, but at least the Tyrex Biker Boot, at least is doing something. At least for the right person, I could see this being a very good shoe. I'm just not that person. That's all. That's all I'll say about it. One more shoe that they released in fall winter 20, the football boot. I don't even want to talk about these. I don't even think I will talk about these, to be honest. They released like an actual soccer cleat. Who is buying this? Certainly not any actual soccer players. Wouldn't they be buying like actual soccer branded, high performance, good technology shoes, not this Balenciaga trash? Probably. So I would imagine their market for this was an extremely niche, I play soccer once a year, Chinese billionaire niche. And maybe it worked. I don't know. I hope not. That's not to say I hate all the Balenciaga soccer stuff. The jerseys are kind of cool. They just released this like hood thing that looks pretty sick. The jerseys, the shorts, whatever. They're just, whatever. They're just sports apparel. This though is just absolutely horrendous. Even if you wore this, I would be legitimately embarrassed to pull up to like a soccer field and they see what's on my feet and it's a Balenciaga football boot. I would be like, I would want this logo covered. I would never want them to know that I was wearing Balenciaga when I'm on the soccer field, especially given my skill level, which is absolutely horrendous. Again, this is another shoe straight to the F tier. I am putting this at the bottom of F tier. That's how bad I think it is. At least you could wear these on the street. Would you look like an absolute fool? Yes. But would you look as big of a fool as someone who's wearing soccer cleats on the street? No. At least you have that going for you. Good job if you decided to buy these over these. You're still an idiot, but you're slightly less of an idiot. Congratulations. Oh my God, we're almost at the end, boys. One more row. Moving on with Spring Summer 21, the Quarantine Collection. Now, this was kind of the whole COVID era. A lot of brands kind of, slowed down, I would say. The whole supply chain obviously being constricted and what they're able to do and produce being constricted. So I'm going to give a lot of brands a pass for this era. However, despite me saying that, I thought that this Spring Summer 21 collection from Balenciaga was actually quite good. It did look like they kind of took pictures in the back of someone's room with a backdrop, kind of looked like your Instagram brand's lookbook there. But one of the footwears they released, the Rhino Derby. Now, I have quite a few good things to say about the Rhino Derby. I made a whole video about the Rhino Derby. I think it's a great shoe. I think that it's unique. I think that it's not doing too much. I think it's still wearable. I think it's just a good shoe. I really, really like this shoe. I own it, obviously. That's how you know I actually like it. I am going to put it at the top of A tier. So you might be thinking, why wouldn't it go in the S tier? And here I'm going to talk about a problem that I think Balenciaga has overall in terms of all their footwear. Here's the thing. A lot of Balenciaga footwear looks really good. Really, really, really good in the right outfits. Take the Rhino Derby, for instance. When you wear wide, baggy pants, the shoe absolutely looks amazing. It kind of has that little horn in the front. It looks super good. It looks unique. It looks different. It looks like it's doing just enough, but not going overboard. And it just looks like in this particular outfit, this is the best possible shoe you could go for, and it looks the absolute best. However, if you were to wear it with something else, like a pair of skinny jeans, it would look like the absolute worst. So I think a lot of Balenciaga footwear is the best of the best for a specific category or for a specific type of outfit, and it just looks horrendous in the wrong outfits. Here's a good example of this. Let's take the Triple S. When I look at some outfits featuring the Triple S, it automatically looks like the worst sneaker of all time. Straight up. This looks really bad, and I think in general the Triple S looks really bad with skinnier pants. Now, does that mean I think the Triple S is a bad shoe? No, because when you wear it in the right outfits, it looks like literally one of the best sneakers of all time. So that's kind of what I mean about, being the best in a specific category or a specific type of look, but then going so quickly to being one of the worst. And that kind of goes with wearability, everyday things. If your wardrobe supports something like the Triple S or the Rhino Derby, and you have a lot of good outfits, a lot of good pants, a lot of good ways to wear them and incorporate them into your day-to-day wear, you are going to think that these are some of the best shoes of all time. Because again, like I said, I think that there are some of the best shoes, maybe the best shoe for those specific categories. But if you wear like skinny jeans and you kind of look like this, if you look like this, suddenly, in my opinion, at least, again, if you like this, wear it by all means. But my personal opinion of the shoe goes down quite a bit because I think that the shoe looks quite a bit worse when it's styled like this. So that's why I think a lot of people, they hate on a lot of these shoes because they might not have the wardrobe. Oh my God, I just closed the tab. Please save. Okay, thank you. They might not have the wardrobe to support it. You might buy the Triple S because you've seen so many good outfits with it, but then all you have are outfits like these, and then you put it on and you're like, oh my God, this is horrible. But really, you need the right outfit, and as a result, I think a lot of these shoes, it kind of takes time. Like you can't just buy the Rhino Derby, for example. You need to have the right outfit for it. You need to have the right aesthetic, the right wardrobe for it to wear the Rhino Derby in those situations and outfits where it looks the best of the best, because if not, it's going to look like the worst of the worst. This could be an S or an F, depending on the outfit that I saw. That's one of the main problems I think Balenciaga has a lot of their footwear. But when you have it in the right outfit, that's when it becomes like an S or an A tier shoe. But because so many people don't have the right outfits, a lot of the perception and public opinion of these shoes gets swayed negatively. At least in my opinion. So that was kind of a long tangent. Basically, I think the Rhino Derby is an A tier shoe, and I'm not putting in the S tier because it's not as wearable in every situation as the Triple S. And even then, I just mentioned that the Triple S, I don't think it looks good with skinny jeans. Maybe you can pull it off with crop pants, shorts. Certainly though, for both of these shoes, I think that kind of wide, long shoe where it just drapes over the shoe and the pant puddles over the shoe looks the best for both of these shoes. And that is generally a common theme with Balenciaga footwear because it is so chunky. I think, at least for my personal opinion and aesthetic, I think that that's how I would wear it, and that's how I think that they look the best. All right, moving on, we have one other shoe in Spring/Summer 21, the Expander. Now, the Expander, I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I kind of feel like the shoe dropped and then that's it. I don't really hear about the shoe. I don't see anyone wearing this shoe. I don't see anyone talking about this shoe. I don't think it's a good shoe for me personally. Now, does that mean that I don't think they're good outfits or whatever that you can pull off? No, obviously that's not what I'm saying. But for me personally, I get what they're going for. They're going for something more unique, maybe add a little twist, a heel, whatever. But for me, this is not doing it. I feel like it dropped and there was literally no hype, and then it went away. It's just like, it didn't stay in the spotlight for any time. It just kind of came and it went. And what's crazy is they released quite a bit of colorways for this, and yet they're all trash to me. For $13.50, you are telling me if you were to buy a pair of sneakers, you could not find anything better for $1,350 than this. This is the shoe out of every option of sneaker in the world available for purchase. With this insanely high budget, this is the best you can do. I doubt that, and I think that that's why this shoe isn't selling very well. It's not unique enough, it's not different enough, and it doesn't look good enough even when it tries to be different with this heel thing. So I'm just going to put this, I don't think it's a good shoe. I'm going to go ahead and put this, is this an F tier shoe? I'm going to put this at the bottom. I'm going to put this at the bottom of D tier. I don't think it's an F tier shoe. I just think that there's literally no reason to buy this when like Asics, New Balance, whatever exists. Unless you were in love with this little heel thing so much that you're like, I'm willing to spend $1,350 on this shoe. And I don't think it's a good shoe. I don't think it stood the test of time. I think it's certainly gotten worse the more I've looked at it. And honestly, my life would be the exact same if this shoe never released. It would probably be better. So, all right, moving on. Pre-fall 21. There was one shoe released in this that I could find, the Balenciaga Runner sneaker. Now, this originally released as a Kith exclusive, and I remember seeing this and I thought it was like some sort of joke. I was like, oh, what is this? Like a limited like Balenciaga Kith collab? Like, I don't know, maybe there's something special. Is this some sort of joke that Balenciaga is doing? Because at the time they had a lot of like kind of weird random collabs. Like, remember that like Balenciaga DMX Yeezy collab, all these like random stuff where I'm not sure, I'm like, is this a joke or is this actually serious? Turns out they were serious, unfortunately. What's even sadder is that I think this shoe released exclusively to Kith, but it wasn't like a Kith exclusive. It just originally released at Kith, because I thought like, oh, maybe these colorways are going to be exclusive or limited or whatever. No, they actually just released them as like GR colorways. So I don't know how Kith got this deal, why Balenciaga chose Kith. That's kind of a big mystery there. I don't know, why, but it doesn't matter to me regardless. This shoe is not a good shoe. Again, it kind of goes in with that whole Asics aesthetic, kind of that runner shoe. It just does all of that, but again, it just does it. It doesn't even do it better. It's certainly, I was going to say at least it does it slightly better, but it's not worth the price. No, it doesn't even do it better. It's certainly not worth $1,150. Again, this kind of has that same problem where like with footwear, if you were comparing, like let's say you want to buy one pair of sneakers and your budget is $1,150 and this is the absolute best thing you decided of all the sneakers out there on the market. This is the best one. I just don't see that conclusion coming to a lot of people. So it kind of has that whole like deconstructed vibe. Like they've got a little glue here, kind of reminiscent of that Margiela Cum sneaker. It's just not a good shoe. I don't even see these. Actually, I do see some people wear them, but it's never impressed me every time I've seen it. Kind of another shoe that kind of just came and gone. So do I think it's better than the Expander? Yeah, for sure, because at least it doesn't have this ridiculous thing. But is it a good shoe? No. Let's see, D tier, it's above all these for sure. Above the Match sneaker? It might not even be above that. It's certainly not above any of these, so. I'm put above. I'm put above, sorry, I misput it. Just because this shoe is just so plain. At least this tried. At least you tried. It's like that gold star. You tried, man. Good job. It's a consolation prize to put it above this. All right, fall winter 21. Another very good season in my opinion from Balenciaga. 2 footwear they released. The first footwear, very infamous, the Chevalier Derby. Now, I'm just gonna, no surprises here, I'm gonna put this in the S tier. That might seem high for you. I can totally understand that. It came in a silver version, a gold version. It came in, a heeled version, a flat version, like thigh-high boots. Here's the problem. I think this shoe looks absolutely amazing. However, I heard that this shoe released for $2,650 for the Derby version. God knows how much these versions released for, probably an insane amount more. I believe these were only released as like a pre-order to VIP customers. But what I have heard is that the shoe is extremely prone to breaking. Now, if I'm paying $2,650 for a pair of shoes, first of all, I don't even expect the shoe to be uncomfortable. It looks like metal. It looks bad. Like, it just doesn't look like something I'd want to take more than 10 steps in. I'll deal with all that. I can deal with literally all of that. Whatever. It looks absolutely amazing. The problem is, if I'm paying that much, I'm dealing with all that, and it still breaks on me. That is absolutely absurd and unacceptable. That said, I think the shoe looks absolutely amazing. Now, what's weird is that I don't even think I have the wardrobe to support something like this. Maybe you can just wear like black pants and it'll look good. I don't know. I will never own these in my life, to be honest, most likely. I won't know what goes good. I can't even imagine. Like, I can't even think in my head, oh, what should I wear with these armored shoes today? Like, like what? All these pointed stuff also is absolutely horrible. It also came in this gold version. Absolutely horrible as well. This is really bad. The silver version is amazing though. I'm putting it in the S tier despite all the negative things I've said about it, mostly as a proof of concept shoe. Now, in terms of all the negatives, I could put it much lower for sure. You know, the things I talked about in terms of wearability, in terms of everyday outfits, all the negatives in terms of cost, how limited it was, how easily it breaks. If someone can make this shoe, make it wearable, make it affordable, and still look as good, I will put my money where my mouth is if it looks as good as this and buy it and wear it, because I legitimately think that this is interesting and that it looks very good in terms of everything that I've seen so far. The actual pragmatic elements of this shoe, everything else is going to be an F, but the looks and the proof of concept, I'm putting this in the S tier. All right, and one other shoe they released in fall winter 21, the Bulldozer Shoe. It came in a derby, it came in a boot, it came in a lace. Again, with the lace thing, I just don't really like combat boots and laces. Like, it's just not my thing. This picture looks absolutely absurd. What the heck? This looks terrible. Here it looks more reasonable. I think that the laceless version of this shoe, this right here, I think this looks very good. I really do. The problem with this for me is this absolutely ridiculous platform. Again, going with what I talked about with the SS17 heels, this is just too exaggerated. This platform looks like it's 3 inches. Whatever this is, this could probably be like 6 inches. You know, if you're 5'6" and you want to be 6 feet tall, buy this shoe probably, because it'll probably make you look 6 feet tall. It's just too much. 80 millimeters. Oh, right here. 80 millimeters. What is that? What is that in freedom units? I was right. It's 3 inches. It's over 3 inches. I can't even imagine standing on 3 inches and trying to walk. That absolutely sounds absurd. Even this low version looks good to me, but it's just too much. And the thing about this shoe, I think that if you made it like lower, like kind of, if you were to like cut this sole in half and kind of make it less exaggerated, I don't think it would look as good. Because I think that part of what makes this shoe look so good is how exaggerated and ridiculous this looks. So even if I was like, oh, they could cut it in half and maybe I would wear it, I think as a result of cutting it in half, I wouldn't think it looks as good. Because I think that how exaggerated it is here is what part of what makes it look so good. So I don't think that this is ever a shoe. I think this is more of like, if you can wear a platform shoe like this and you can pull it off, no problem, it's a good looking shoe. I am going to put this bottom of B tier. It's certainly better than all these shoes and certainly worse than these for me. In terms of looks, this would probably go higher, but in terms of when I'm thinking about wearing it and putting it on, not to mention how heavy this would be. This is literally like a leather, tall, 3-inch soled boot. I can't even imagine. I would probably get the strongest legs in the world if I walked in those for a day. So, all right, moving on. Resort 22, we're almost at the end, boys. You can kind of see, I have Resort 22 and Spring Summer 22 left, and look at all these shoes. You can kind of tell that over the years, Balenciaga has kind of pushed more and more into footwear, at least on the men's side. I think that they, can kind of tell what is getting people talking on what is actually selling at Balenciaga. It must be the shoes. The shoe? It's gotta be the shoes. Yeah, kind of interesting to see. We've gone through the entirety, and then we've got 2 seasons, technically like a season and a half, because one of them's Resort 22. And we have this many shoes left. So kind of interesting just to see that. First shoe I'm going to talk about is the Balenciaga Ultra Flat Mule. Now, this kind of goes in with the whole Vibram theme, that five-toed aesthetic. I really like this shoe. I think it's a good looking shoe. It's interesting. It's different. I believe that these were actually modeled from Demna's feet himself. I really like the look of the outside, kind of that carbon fibery look. These like swirls, I think that looks very good. I think that the shoe overall looks actually quite good. I would certainly wear it. It's not too extreme where I'm like, I couldn't wear this ever. It looks good. It's quite thin. It looks wearable. This toes the line, that line I was talking about of like weird, but still looks good. And it still looks good. It doesn't cross that line into weird, and it just looks weird and bad, and just they were trying to make it weird for the sake of looking weird. I think that this still looks good. It still looks wearable. I really like these curves and this whole carbon fiber aesthetic to it. So a very good shoe in my opinion. A very strong shoe from Balenciaga. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of. I'm gonna put it here actually. I think that the shoe is really good. Like I don't know. I have nothing negative to say about it. I like the look of the five-toed, like I was talking about from the Vibram. I think that this does it better. I really like that carbon fiber effect. I wish that they did that on more shoes because I really like that effect, and I think it looks super good, especially under the right lighting. I would love to see that design on more shoes. Please, don't just limit it to this. Try it on other shoes, Balenciaga, and I would love to see how it looks. Not that anyone from Balenciaga is watching this, but yeah. All right, moving on to another shoe of Resort 22, the Trooper Boot. Now, this came in a leather and a rubber version, as well as a derby for just the leather for the derby version. This shoe looks bad. I'm just going to cut to the chase. This shoe looks really, really bad. I've never once thought this looked good from the moment of release. Every picture that I've seen, it just looks bad. I have nothing positive to say about this shoe. Every single pic, even now that I'm looking at, just makes it look worse and worse. This looks like a joke. This certainly must be another one of their IQ tests because I can't see anyone buying this shoe unironically. What is this, man? R/streetwear, man. You're killing it. Keep it up, bro. No hate, no hate. Now, that's for the rubber version. The leather version, I think, looks absolutely amazing. So you might be like, well, they're kind of the same thing. Why do you love the leather version so much over the rubber version? And I don't know. I thought about this myself too. I think it's this sole differential. If you look at the rubber version, there's like no difference. Like, look at this. It's just one plain shoe. If you look at the rubber version, there's like a difference here. You see that difference? And I think that difference makes it look so good. I also just love leather footwear in general. I'm not a whole fan of that whole like this new like polyurethane Yeezy foam runner mold shoe wave. I'm not that into it, to be honest. But these leather versions, they just look premium. They look nice. I love this little square toe finish it has. It kind of gives me like Rhino Derby vibes, but just a different like version of it. Really dope shoe in my opinion. I love both the boot and the derby. I actually did see the derby when I bought the Rhino Derbies, and I was like, should I get this one or the Rhino Derby? Problem with this one is, again, this absolutely ridiculous platform. I can't. They both look great is what I'm trying to say, but just would I wear them? No. And certainly the rubber version is one of the worst shoes I've ever seen. If I were to rate this rubber version, it would be an F. If I were to rate the leather version, it would be a lot higher. So I'm going to split the difference here. I'm going to go ahead. If I'm thinking about the leather version, I think it's a pretty good shoe, especially the boot. The derby version, a bit too much of a platform there. The boot looks good. I'm going to put the boot. I'm going to put them above. Why can't I move this? Okay, there we go. I'm going to put it at the top of C tier. All right, moving on to another shoe they released in Resort 22. An infamous one, the Balenciaga Croc. Now, this is the Balenciaga Croc boots. This wasn't the first time that Balenciaga collabed with Crocs. They had their first collab back in 2018, if anyone remembers those platform, these, oh God. Even looking at them now, again, is just absolutely ridiculous. Now, if you see this shoe, I think this is a perfect shoe for Balenciaga to market the fuck out of. Why? Look at this shoe. It's absolutely ridiculous. Let's say this shoe retailed for $800, okay? I think Balenciaga knows what they're doing is kind of insane. They're releasing a Croc, super high platform, super ridiculous. People are going to talk about this. People are going to look at this and be like, how, like, what is this? News articles are going to pick up on it. People are going to be talking about it. And that's a perfect shoe to market. Whether it's good publicity or bad publicity, I don't think Balenciaga cares. They want news articles to get the name Balenciaga out there. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, they just want publicity. Why? Because they're going to be like, oh, look at this Balenciaga Croc. Absolutely ridiculous. They're selling this for $900. You know, they're culturally appropriating Crocs, whatever, this, that. And people are going to talk about Balenciaga. Oh, is that Balenciaga again? The one with the infamous $900 sneakers with 3 soles? Yes, it's that same company. That's what they want to market. They don't want to market a shoe that's so mundane that people are like, oh, look at this Balenciaga sneaker. This shoe. Imagine if they marketed this shoe. Oh, look at the sneaker. Nobody's going to talk about it. Who's going to care that they're just releasing a sneaker? But if they release a Croc, everyone knows what Crocs are. You don't have to be into fashion, especially high fashion, to know what Crocs are. They're a very ubiquitous shoe. A lot of people wear them. People at all financial levels will know what a Croc is. Now you add the Balenciaga name. Now you add something absolutely ridiculous and absurd like this platform, and then you sell it for $900, and suddenly people are talking about Balenciaga. So you're widening your reach. Whether the publicity is good or bad, I'm sure Balenciaga wants good publicity, don't get me wrong, but I think they certainly know what they're doing. It's no secret. They definitely know what they're doing when they're marketing a shoe like this, when they're making a shoe like this. Anyway, that was kind of a random side tangent. Obviously, I'm talking about the boots here. Kanye West, definitely instrumental in pushing this shoe. What do I think about the shoe? I think the shoe is really good. I really do. I don't know what it is. When I first saw it, I didn't like it that much. And then I quickly started liking it more and more and more. And now I really like the shoe. I think that the shoe is really good. I think that it's interesting. I really like the silhouette. I like how wide this top is. This is a rare shoe from Balenciaga that I think can be worn in a lot of ways and look very good in all those ways. What do I mean by that? Look at this girl. She's wearing it with some pretty short pants. It still looks good. Look at these people. Tucked it in. Looks pretty good. All right, anyway, you get the idea. It looks good in a bunch of different ways. You can wear the pants in. You can wear the pants over. You can wear shorts. Girls can wear this. You can show the socks. It's a good looking shoe. And even if you look at it in the show, like these people are wearing it with a coat and it still looks good in my opinion, which is why I think it's sold so well, because you don't need a specific aesthetic or a wardrobe to support this. It goes very well into people's wardrobes, even those that aren't into that high fashion, and they'll look fine. It looks good. So I am going to put this shoe maybe higher than some people think. I don't know. I'm going to put this. Is it better than the Track? I do. I think it's better than the Track. Now, this may be a bit of recency bias here. I certainly think that this shoe is very, very trendy, and I don't know if in 5 years I will look back at it very fondly, and maybe a year I look at this shoe in disgust. But right now it looks very good. This shoe kind of broke into the normie fashion barrier, and unlike the Triple S where you get those absolutely egregious hypebeast outfits, this shoe still looks good among, the normal person, in my opinion. Moving on, we have the Inspector Derby boot and Mule. It's a very plain looking silhouette at first glance. However, it does have this beautiful square toe to it, which I think looks absolutely gorgeous. I love a good square toe. It can be very divisive for sure. A lot of people don't like square toes. It just has a different vibe to it than like a normal rounded toe or a pointed toe or something. I like the square toe. This Mule version looks absolutely gorgeous in my opinion. This is a very good shoe. I love the Mule version. I love the boot version as well. You can kind of see this square toe. Okay, I'm going to talk about a shape real quick that I've been really noticing. It's kind of this toe pointing up. I love how subtle, I feel like they nailed this shape perfectly. If the toe goes up too much, I don't think it looks good. But because right here, it goes up just enough so that it's not like a clown shoe with a bell at the top, it looks good. I really do. I like all 3 versions of the shoe. I like this boot. I do wish the shaft was higher. I like higher shafts personally, which is another reason that I love the Balenciaga Croc so much, because the shaft goes so high. But the Derby, I think the Mule is certainly the best. I love the Mule, but I think all three shoes are good. This was a very silent drop. I feel like Balenciaga just dropped this. They didn't really market it. They didn't talk about it. They just kind of dropped it, and it's a kind of a silent shoe, but I do think it's a very good shoe, and it looks timeless. Doesn't say Balenciaga egregiously anywhere. No dumb silver accents like this shoe on the toe. And it's a nice shoe, and I actually like all three variants, which is kind of rare for me for a shoe. So I'm gonna put it in the. I'm gonna put it here. I really do think that it's a good shoe. The Mule version, by far the best for me, then the Derby, then the Boot. It's just a plain shoe with like a shape done right. As crazy as that sounds, I think that's pretty rare nowadays to get like the perfect shape on a pair of plain black shoes. All right, moving on. We've got one last shoe to talk about in Resort 22, the Phantom sneaker. Now, this is an interesting sneaker. And by interesting, I mean it's trash. Another sneaker that I feel like they just kind of dropped and that was it. Like, I don't really see much marketing on this. Got that worn-in effect as Balenciaga does quite a bit nowadays. Who even, does anyone own this shoe? Here's a nice little advertisement featuring the shoe, and it wasn't even the main advertisement for the shoe. This was for the City series, which is also trash, by the way, and the model isn't even wearing the shoe. Oh yeah, can we market the Phantom sneaker? And the model's like, oh, I really don't want to wear that trash. Like, can I just hold it instead? And then the person taking the picture's like, all right, fine, whatever, just hold it. Like, we have to get in the shot somewhere. Look, dude, again, this guy's probably like, oh, dude, no, I'm really not down to wear that. I'm really not down to put that on my feet, man. Can I just hold it, man? Like, I really don't want to wear it. Like, yeah, this girl again, she's like, oh my God, like, I'm so sad, man. I have to put my face in the same picture as these shoes. Come on, bro. Like, photographer did her dirty, man. I feel bad for her. Even this person knows. She's like, oh, dude, I feel so bad for her. Like, she has to carry those shoes, those atrocities, man. They're not doing anything. Like, if I look at this shoe, right, $925. I think, okay, retail is actually $800. Maybe this color was a little bit more. My point is $800. You're telling me as a consumer, you can't do better? You can't find a single sneaker with an $800, $900, $1,000 budget. This is the best you can do. You couldn't find a single pair of Asics, New Balance, whatever, any other sneaker on the market that you liked more than this? There's just no way. Furthermore, what I hate about this is that it's like all mesh. There's no like contrasting elements to this. It looks like kind of like one shoe. The panels are like almost the same material as this. So even though there is paneling, it doesn't look like a different part of the shoe. And it's kind of sad that they just printed this on here. It says Phantom, why did they make this? Who designed this? Was Balenciaga just like, oh, we have to release a sneaker. We have to release a sneaker, guys. We need to up the sales. And some guy spent like 2 minutes on the drawing board and came up with this. Like, and they're like, oh yeah, make it, ship it, sell it, let's go. This is another shoe, just kind of dropped, kind of went by. I hope it never comes back. I don't think it will. It's not a good shoe. It's certainly better than the Expander, don't get me wrong. It's better than this. Is it better than this? I would wear it over the Santiago Boot. I don't know if it's better. I would wear it over these. Would I wear it over these? I would wear it over that. I would not wear it over that. This is where I would put it. To be honest, I'm going to move this down to the D tier. This is really bad. This is just not a good sneaker. They should have never released this. I don't know why they released it. It doesn't do anything. It's not special in any way. And if you can't find a better shoe for $800, you deserve to buy this and put this on your feet. That's all I'm going to say. All right, boys, we're at the last season, spring, summer 22. We have 3 sneakers here. The first shoe I'm going to talk about is the space shoe. Now, with the space shoe, I think the space shoe is really good. This is a shoe that I first saw. I thought it was one of the worst shoes in the world. I'm not going to lie. Look at this picture and tell me you can think that this shoe is good on first glance. If you can, props to you. I look at this and I do not see something good. Even now, even me knowing what the shoe looks like and liking the shoe, I still see these pictures And I don't have a single positive thought in my mind about these shoes. With that said though, now that I'm seeing the shoe, it's a good shoe. Like I've seen some people wearing it, you know, I really like the way the shoe looks. There are a couple colorways. I think there's the silver one. Okay, I don't know why the picture goes like that. This matte one, and then the shiny black one. I like the matte one the most. I think it looks most wearable. The shiny one kind of gives it like too formally of a look. It's like too glossy. If it was a little less glossy, I would like it more, to be honest. And then the silver one looks okay. Like, I don't know, like it's hard to wear in my opinion. It just, now I think of silver shoes and I think of the Chevalier Derby and I'm like, this is just worse. But the matte shoe looks good. It looks very wearable in a lot of different outfits. It looks kind of a formal look, but like a little twist, you know, just enough. Like that line I was talking about. It goes to that line of being weird and still looking good before crossing over to weird and looking bad. And getting as close to that line is the goal and should be the goal for companies, especially like Balenciaga, which I think prides themselves on being a bit different from a lot of the other high fashion brands. And they do a good job of following those trends. And I think this shoe kind of does it for me. Again, originally a shoe I didn't like, but it's been steadily growing on me ever since. A shoe that I am highly considering buying. I'm going to put this in the A tier. Do I think it's better than the heels? I think it's better than the Crocs for sure. I'm put it below the heels. This is another shoe that I think I'm having some recency bias towards. We'll see if it stands the test of time. I don't know if it will. As of right now, I'm kind of looking at it and loving it. Who knows how my opinion will be in 5 years. This shoe, a lot of these shoes have stood the test of time. As a result of that, I'm going to put it higher. I do think that this shoe has a good amount of potential. I wish they released it in some other variant though, like a leather variant. I would love to see this in that carbon fiber variant I talked about for the ultra flats. I think all three colorways are kind of meh. I think the matte one is definitely the best, but in terms of like actually, I feel like there's more potential. I don't know. Like they haven't gotten the perfect colorway yet. And I don't trust the matte colorway. I don't know, something about it. It reminds me of this Trooper boot of like super scuffed and like ugly. Maybe it's super durable and I don't know. Still a respectable mid A. 2 more sneakers, boys. We're going to move on to the Defender sneaker. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I hate this sneaker. I think it's one of the worst looking sneakers of all time. And one of the reasons for that is because I think there's too much going on. Obviously, the most apparent, in my opinion, would be this kind of tire tread outsole. Obviously, you know, that's what most people are talking about. And then it's kind of got this, you know, more plainer Asics top. But then you look at it on foot. Look how wide this looks. It's absolutely absurd. When you look at it like from the side profile, it doesn't show how wide it is, and then you see it on, dude, look at how much it protrudes on the 2 sides. It's absolutely ridiculous. Not to mention the fact that I just don't think it looks good in the first place. That only makes it look worse. The tread I think is kind of, I don't like it at all. It just looks kind of weird. What's crazy about this shoe, look how wide this looks, dude. It looks like he has like 2 boats like on his feet. I don't know, it just looks terrible. But the craziest thing to me about this shoe is how hyped it is. You know, what I've talked about, kind of the Triple S, the track, there's been a lot of hype. This shoe has a lot of hype. I don't know why. I really don't. It just seems like a lot of people are talking about it and buying it. I don't know if it's just a trendy thing to hop on the latest Balenciaga sneaker or what. That looks mildly interesting. This is a bad, I don't see what people are seeing, which is why it's so weird to me that it's so hyped. Like usually, even if I don't like it, I can be like, okay, I can see why they would like that. This, I don't see it. I've yet to see a single good outfit in these, despite how much hype they have, how everyone's talking about these, wearing these, buying these, and yet every single time I look at it, they look worse. So where am I putting this? In the F tier, boys. That's right. I'm putting this at the top of F tier. Sadly, it's just that these other shoes, I'm gonna actually put this above. These other shoes are so bad, I cannot understate how bad I think this shoe is, and yet I still think it's better than these two. The most baffling thing to me though about this shoe is that it's so hyped. It would be like if this shoe had hype, like everyone on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, where all the whole fashion world is like, oh my god, look at this, the Balenciaga Zen Sneaker, boys. Everyone cop this right now, get a fit pick, whatever. That's how I feel about these. I'm like, where is the hype coming from? Who is driving it? I don't even think they did a particularly high amount of marketing for this. Does Justin Bieber just have that many fans with $1,090 spare to spend on this absolute atrocity? Is that the case? I don't know what the case is, but that's how I feel about it. I'm just baffled at how much hype there is. I thought that this was going to be like these shoes. They just drop and they're gone, but no. I don't know if I'm being like a harsh critic or what, or I just have something out for this shoe. I don't know, but I'm not a fan at all. So F tier for me. We are on the last sneaker, and I saved definitely one of the most controversial sneakers for last, the Paris sneaker. Now, why is this shoe so controversial? Just by looking at the picture, you might not know. It looks like a mule, nothing crazy. And then you see this. What? Look at this. This is an absolute joke. Now, listen, this is one of the perfect cases of, again, Balenciaga marketing. Look at all these articles. NBC News. Balenciaga got NBC News to talk about them. Why? Because they're releasing a $1,850 destroyed sneaker. I bet if I go onto the Balenciaga website that it's selling out. Let's see. I'm pretty sure they're probably all like handmade or like very hard, probably limited, which is why. Let's see. 2 sizes left, 40 and 41. 2 sizes left, 39, 41. They knew that this was going to raise eyes, that it's going to be controversial. Balenciaga knew. They priced it at an absolutely absurd $1,850 as a pre-order. It's out of stock in every size except 2, which aren't even available for purchase right now. Look at that. $1,850. They know, this is a perfect example. They know people are going to talk about it. They don't care that this publicity is good or bad. They know it's going to be bad. Look at this shoe. This is absolutely absurd. They make the shoe. They get the news talking. They get literal normie news stations. NBC News. I could understand if like Vogue talks about it. They are a fashion organization, but NBC News, Newsweek. This again goes with the Crocs. It goes with the Triple S. It goes with all their stuff about how ridiculous is it? How much can they get people talking just to get Balenciaga in the news? And they know that this shoe is going to create a lot more buzz than say this shoe, even though this shoe is so ridiculous already. Look at that tire outsole. It's a ridiculous shoe, don't get me wrong. Compared to this though, at $1,850, it's not even close. Especially the way it looks. They know that this is absolutely absurd to the average consumer, especially not one into high fashion. I'm into high fashion and I think that this is absolutely absurd. I'm sitting here talking about it right now, talking about Balenciaga footwear. So clearly something is working from their marketing. I think it's genius. Now, this isn't the whole shoe. I don't want to just talk about the distressed version. It does come in like a more normal. This is distressed, but not nearly as, egregiously. They have a mule version. These look fine. Like, I have nothing against this. It's literally just basically a Converse. However, again, this goes into what I was saying about every brand, especially high fashion brand that makes sneakers, has made some sort of Converse equivalent. At $625, is this the best you can do? As a consumer, probably not. That would be my guess. I don't even think it's necessarily that much better than the Converse, or if it even is better than the Converse at all. But every brand still has to make it so that they can be like, oh, I have the Balenciaga version of the Converse, or oh, I have the Dior version of the Converse. You have to get people talking about their version. However, as a consumer who isn't, just blindly sucking Balenciaga's dick and being like, oh yeah, Balenciaga released a Converse, I have to buy it if I like Converse, and I can never buy normal Converse again because I have to buy the Balenciaga Paris high top sneaker. That's not true. But can I hate on this sneaker? No, because it's so plain and it's basically like a Converse. And I think this mule version is actually quite good, in my opinion. I like mules. I like the way it looks. It's very played down. It has a little bit of branding on the toe, but nothing extreme. And it's just, would I buy this, especially with that money and all my other options available to me? No. But I think the shoe is fine, other than the absolutely egregious distressed versions. So if we're talking about the mule version, I think it's better than a lot of these shoes, to be honest. I think it's probably at the top of C. But if if I were to consider the destroyed versions and the other versions, it's going to go down quite a bit. I'm gonna put it at D tier just because I think the distressed versions are literal F tiers. But again, the non-distressed version, like this shoe just looks fine. It's just a Converse. Like maybe you can't love it, but you certainly can't hate it. Well, I can hate on this, and I am, but like the non-distressed version. So, all right, there we go. We have our tier list here. All right, and real quick, I just realized I forgot to film an outro despite me literally reminding myself to. So I did rename the tiers so that it's a little bit more interesting to read. So what do I think of Balenciaga? Obviously, I like Demna's Balenciaga, especially their footwear. I mean, that's why I made this whole video. I think over the years, they've pretty consistently delivered like solid and unique silhouettes. I have a bit of a soft spot for Balenciaga in particular because that whole spring, summer, fall, winter 17 era was so nostalgic for me, like I was talking about. I think their company is really unique in their ability to market and kind of like, I don't know, they're not afraid to like change and be elastic with the times and responsive with their marketing. And as a result, I feel like they're one of the few brands who actually do a good job of like connecting with the new age consumer, like people my age. They don't shy away from using like non-traditional things, memes, and I always look forward to what they're going to do next. So yeah, I guess overall, something that I noticed, I didn't really see any like basketball shoes or skate shoes. I'm kind of surprised at that just because one, they're so popular right now, and two, it just seems like a very easy thing for Balenciaga to make their own rendition of. So maybe in the future they're going to release like a skate shoe or a basketball shoe. Who knows? But yeah, overall, this was my Balenciaga footwear tier list for Demna era. I also sent this tier list over to my friend just to see what he would put. I'm going to put the link of the tier list in the description so anyone can play around with it or, you know, do it themselves for fun. If you do end up doing it, it would be cool to see what you put. Anyway, I'm just going to review his just to, you know, see how wrong his opinions are. Just kidding, but... all right, we'll see. So I goated. I mean, this is obviously wrong. This is correct. I agree with this. I'm just surprised to see it there. As well as this, I don't agree with this, but I'm surprised to see it there because he doesn't really wear like boots or leather shoes. So I don't know why he likes this. It's so random. Like for the rest of the stuff, fire. I agree with both. All right. The Rhino Derby is fine. Like you can put in fire or all right, or, you know, anywhere in the upper parts, I'd be fine, you know, whatever. These two are unexplainable in this tier. There's no justification whatsoever, so that's just wrong. Kind of cringe. I agree. I'm not surprised to see the boots here because, again, he doesn't wear... This is surprising to me because he doesn't wear boots. But this makes sense, you know, given his style and things like that. So I'm not mad with any of these. They're all kind of cringe for sure. The Ye tier, you know, the Kanye effect, whatever. Just black boots. Okay. Sure. Oh no, Demna, baby, what is you doing? Good tier name. Totally agree. This 5-toe makes sense given his style. If you're not the person, even for me, the 5-toe is a little sus. If I see someone wearing 5-toed shoes outside, I'm usually a little sus. You know, I don't know. Are they gonna come up to me and talk about it? Are they like a vegan, you know, environmentalist? Who knows? Should I avoid eye contact? That's kind of the vibe I get. And then I don't know what these are. Not gonna comment on them because he doesn't know what these are. But yeah, I like seeing other people's like tier lists, and I thought this was a fun video. If you made it all the way this far, thank you for watching. But also, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But yeah, this was a cool one. I liked making it. I had a lot of fun. It's cool to see all, you know, the footwear that's released over the Demna era, at least on the menswear side. And yeah, thank you for watching.